Hey, so do you remember way back when, Tuesday, when I started fantasy news like this? Goblins, psst, hey, okay, keep it quiet, shh. I think there has been no major drama for an entire week of fantasy news. I know. Well, apparently the drama gods heard that and decided to take the two biggest sources of drama for the fantasy genre of the last year and just bring them on back into the fold here. Calling them drama in both cases could be a little bit too minimizing. One of them is like a legitimate political situation, and the other one is a hate crime. So let's refer to them as just scandals, as we should. God damn it, let's just jump back into the news, shall we? The first story we're going to be getting into here is by far the more important one here, in my opinion, and that is going to be the Hugo Awards have allegedly had some emails leak that show exactly how and why the exclusion of the finalists who happen to not align with the host country's party values were removed, and these are a part of a leak that is being shared on social media. I can't believe I forgot to say this in my original coverage, but I do want to shout out Diane Lacey for actually coming forward and providing these leaks. It is actually a way to make up for partaking in a lot of the crap that happened here, in my opinion, and as we are about to get another example of a very bad apology later on, the one that you're seeing on screen right now, I find to be a fairly good one, backed up by meaningful action. So shout out to this person for providing these leaks who was involved in these emails. If you'd like to see full coverage of this so you understand just the girth of condescension that, in my opinion, occurred, check this on out there. And would you guess who these emails, largely the important ones, are from? It would be our old buddy Dave. You know, the fellow who started responding to people asking basic questions that he was avoiding answering with accusations of illiteracy and vague, insulting passing of the batons. That wonderful guy. Well, the emails read, "Hi folks, this is us, the group of folks that are validating the Hugo finalists. I am still finishing validating the canonicalization. So, only about half of the categories are ready to start, but the other half should be ready by Monday evening or Tuesday morning. I am creating a spreadsheet showing the top 10 items in each category. I would like all of the top 10 items in English checked for each category by at least 2 different groups. The spreadsheets will have 2 locations to fill in who validated the item and if it passed or had an issue that needs discussion." Now here's where the interesting part comes in from Dave. In addition to the regular technical review, as we are happening in China and the laws we operate under are different, we need to highlight anything of a sensitive political nature in the work. It is not necessary to read everything, but if the work focuses on China, Taiwan, Tibet, or other topics that may be an issue in China, that needs to be highlighted so that we can determine if it is safe to put on the ballot of if the law will require us to make an administrative decision about it. Dave, I just want to say, because you were so giving with other people's comprehension of the English language, you put "of" here. I believe you meant "or," but I have a pretty poor comprehension of the English language, so it could be a mistake on my part. Just let me know if I have poor comprehension of the English language as a dyslexic. But let's continue down the email rabbit hole, shall we? And would you guess what we got in response to this? A deep dive list from the people putting this together, where they seem to have gone through Googling various people who have become finalists in the Hugo Awards and did a little bit of ratting on who might be contentious to give an award in China. I won't read all of the different people and what they found, but here is the introduction to their little rat list. Fan writer potential issues. This category has the potential to be problematic. Under the constraints you've listed, for most non-Chinese fan writers, I'm not sure whether critical of the Chengdu Worldcon or critical of the idea of holding a Worldcon in China would count as negative of China. I'm pointing out examples of both that I find for these fan writers out of an abundance of caution. I assume we're talking about the safety of our Chinese con running friends when we're making these evaluations. Maybe any fan writer concerns can be mitigated by asking them to curate their voter packet materials with our Chinese friends' safety in mind. I would like to say, if you're having to worry about the safety of people involved with the awards due to the host country you've chosen, perhaps it was a mistake to allow your awards to be held in said country. Do not get me wrong. I am very much so aware there are people within China very mad about this having happened to the award ceremonies held there. And I am equally sympathetic to the Chinese fans who now feel like hosting these awards have gone terribly wrong because of their own country party's ridiculous censorship laws. But that does not mean I am not going to be incredibly critical of the CCP for having a government in place that is this made. But on top of that, I hate the people involved with Worldcon. Oh, by the way, I'm going to announce I'm going to be in Worldcon in Glasgow this year because I figured it'd be too funny not to be. And we get another response about the Best Novelists finalist potential issues. Babel has a lot about China. I haven't read it and am not up on Chinese politics, so cannot say whether it would be viewed as negatives of China. Plot description is here. Daughters of Dr. Murillo. There's talk about importing hacienda workers from China. I have not read the book and do not know whether this would be considered negative. Hopefully for the novels, it would be easy to check while we're in China. Perhaps Chinese fans can see whether these novels are offered for sale in China. That might mean they're safe. We have another email here about some potentially non-CCP approved authors potentially getting awards, and oh my gosh, how could that possibly be allowed to go forward? Astounding award possible issues. Zhirinjie Zhao, the Iron Giant, is described as a reimagining of the rise of the Chinese Empress Wu Zetian, including it because I do not know if that would be a negative in China. Zhao is also active on social media, described on Wikipedia as an internet personality. Why is that? Why do you, what? You're just openly admitting you're fully caving to bigotry and have zero spine. In my opinion, allegedly. Don't sue me.
Do I cover my ass? Absolutely.
Nassim Jamina, an author, openly describes himself as queer, non-binary, and trans. Oh, here we go. Just open discrimination against LGBTQ plus people. Fantastic. And frequently writes about gender, particularly non-binary. The cited work also relies on these themes. I included them because I do not know how that will play in China. I suspect less than well. Su Lin Tan, again, daughter of the moon goddess, is inspired by Chinese mythology. No idea if that might be viewed as negative in China. And just to make sure we kind of understand where all of this is circulating around, you know, what the bees, the honey at the core of all this is, we have an email from Dave I would like to read that says, at the moment, the best guidance I have is mentions of Hong Kong, Taiwan, Tibet, negatives of China. I will try to get better guidance when I have a chance to dig into this deeper with the Chinese folks on the committee. I should be in Chengdu in about 5 hours, and the rest of my day is open, so the balance of the categories should finish final muster today. This sentiment continues in another email where Dave continues, tomorrow I have a 4-hour meeting with my Chinese counterpart to look at ballot details and determine if any ballots are to be voided, which happens with frequency, so it's not really that controversial if we determine we need to do it. The chairs and the administrators will review the items we've highlighted in research Friday evening if we have time after the ballot review. Otherwise, we'll be looking at it on Saturday. It's worth noting the last public statement Dave McCarty has made on this scandal is, even though I am certain that every administration decision I made was correct, I don't think that anyone would ever give me this job again. The answers that I've got for the administration decisions, all I can say is, again, after reviewing the Constitution and all the other rules we must follow, the administration team ruled that these works were ineligible, which absolutely, categorically, is our right to do. You know, that's right. There is the WSFS Constitution. Again, completely avoiding the censorship issue, and I agree with the conclusion of the original File 770 report. What's disturbing is not that China censors media, we all know that. What's disturbing is seeing representatives from countries outside of China not only caving, but seemingly doing the research for the Chinese government to make sure that their censorship requirements are met. Imagine, if you will, allegedly, if the person orchestrating all of this responded to people affected by what's being discussed in these emails here by being massively condescending and doing nothing but passing the buck while they seem to be just eagerly, gleefully caving to literal CCP censorship. Oh my God. I fully understand the long tradition of how Worldcon's hosts are selected. I think that was a fine system for a while, but clearly now seriously needs to be looked at again, because we have seen exactly how bad it can be when that system is exploited or the chosen country has severe discriminatory laws in place, or is just a government that doesn't allow basic free speech. But on top of that, I also just want to say it's easy to see people who slip into the narrative of when someone tries to pass the buck of just wanting to like willingly follow along with that person. But I want to say very often you will see people attempt to pass along an issue and take a second look. Just take a little second look when they do and go, does it need to be passed right now? Because it's not like we are seeing a specific individual resist, fight, make a public statement, do anything that might actually restore some basic integrity to the Hugo Awards. And instead, we are actively seeing members who are a part of these committees knowingly and willingly seek out authors who are LGBTQ+ and say, yeah, they should probably be removed, or critical of the Chinese government. I'm willing to say, maybe controversial thing here, but the types of people who are in charge of important career-changing awards should perhaps have a little bit of a spine. Yeah, if the award ceremony gets canceled, at least what's happened to your reputation in the last couple of weeks doesn't happen and you can try again next year. In fact, I would say it would have made up for some recent debacles in Hugo's history. No, though. Instead, they just went along.
Pathetic.
The next story I want to talk about here is involving Cait, Corrain, who, if you do not know, is an author who I covered in this video and knowingly, systematically started review bombing authors who were BIPOC in an attempt to make their book look even better despite it already getting hype because they were kind of in this, I guess you could call it, freshman class of debut authors. And they have since from then tried to do a whole lot of faking, them not actually being responsible, but once the evidence became overwhelming, Cait just caved and gave a very poorly received apology before disappearing. And I personally thought that'll be the end of it that we see, because there's no way someone who was caught that red-handed would be dumb enough to try and stand on a crate that used to carry soap, let's say, and try and make themselves look like the victim. But would you guess what happened? In my opinion, I'm not going to read or show their statement on screen. I think it is gross. I am done giving this person's words my platform. I just want to say that I am also someone who has witnessed addiction firsthand. I am also someone who has friends who are on the spectrum, and these two things that Cait continues to try and blame for her actions that are known to have begun happening way before any of the dates she then claims in this piece. It's repugnant. It's just repugnant to see someone who is continuing to, in my opinion, again, opinion, suffer from main character syndrome and trying to take them being deplatformed as a chance to try and like revitalize and change their platform. And personally, it would be great for Cait to work on herself and try and get better. Privately. This, I'm going to now speak for disabled authors. No.
Stop doing that.
If you want to get better, fantastic. I think I speak for this community though when I say, go away. Stop doing public interviews where it's, oh, woe is me and my journey to recovery. I hope you have a journey to recovery in private. I am well aware that the internet jumps down people's throats far too harshly. There are people who will dedicate hours of their day to seek out those that have done wrong online and just attack them unnecessarily. And I still believe that does not deserve to be happening to people like Cait. Honestly, it deserves to happen to basically nobody, because when something public like this happens, I think the community should cut the person out, and then that person should go and work on themselves privately and perhaps return one day after they have privately sought forgiveness from those that were affected by them. And everyone's experiences with mental health stuff is different. But when your dates do not align, when you have already shown you are willing to fake evidence to try and make yourself look good, and when your apology is always directed at a please look at my image differently rather than here are the people I wronged, how I did it, and how I want to make it up for them, please look at them, please promote them, it's really hard to believe there's any genuine actual change here. And I personally am never going to cover Cait, Corrain again in any way, shape, or form. I will not put their words here on my channel now, and I hope I speak for the community when I say, go away. Part of the reason I'm covering these now is I want next week's fantasy news to pretty much just be drama-free. Perfectly honestly, yes, these kind of stories get clicks, but they also make me feel flooded with anxiety because I'm covering serious things and I'm an internet doofball, yet it's still important news. So I hope you'll excuse the bonus fantasy news this week. I'm recording this about 2 hours before it's going to go live. And let me know your thoughts on these situations in the comments down below because wow, there are definitely some interesting observations to be made. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here, and have a good one, y'all.